I love my dog. She's great, and I don't know what I would do without her. So now I'm going to tell you guys about 12 foods that you didn't know could kill your dog, just so you can keep your furry friends safe. So, chocolate. Kind of the most well-known one, but chocolate is one of the most common foods that is bad for dogs, so it's good to get it off the list early. Dog owners know better than to leave a Toblerone or two laying around. And what I'm going to tell you guys too is what makes it bad. So what's in chocolate is that it contains caffeine and theobromine, which fall under the methylxanthines category. And when we hear the phrase, the darker the chocolate, the more dangerous, it's just because white chocolates contain fewer methylxanthines, thus less toxicity. Of course, don't go giving your dog white chocolate. And what it can do. If eaten by a dog, chocolate can cause vomiting, dehydration, abdominal pains, severe agitation, muscle tremors, irregular heart rhythm, elevated body temperature, seizures, and even death. So be really careful with chocolate around your dog, because we know dogs love people food. So the second food on the list is milk. And yeah, I know, puppies drink milk from their mothers after they're born. But like humans, dogs can also suffer from lactose intolerance. Oh, my dog's eating her food now. So what it can do is lead to vomiting, diarrhea, and other gastrointestinal problems. And while it's not immediately life-threatening, it can contribute to serious bacterial exposure in dogs that could eventually lead to disease. So it's not as dangerous as, say, chocolate, but you still don't want your dog to have it.
Hey guys, so my dog went over there, and I realized you couldn't see me, so I decided to record the rest of this video from here. So third on the list is cheese. So your dog's stomach will thank you for it later. And I know a lot of people who give their dogs cheese, so this was a little bit surprising, but like milk, cheese also has sugars and fatty components that dogs don't have the necessary enzymes to break down. And what it can do is cheese and other dairy products can cause problems if consumed in excess. Symptoms like gas, diarrhea, vomiting can all occur if a dog eats too much cheese. This next one is onions. So while onions go with pretty much anything savory, they can do more than just make your dog cry, because they contain a compound that can be harmful to dogs if ingested enough, and they can damage red blood cells in dogs, causing them to become weaker and move around less. If enough onions are consumed, a blood transfusion might be necessary. And for me personally, I hate onions, so this won't be a problem. Macadamia nuts. One of the more recent discoveries, macadamia nuts can be incredibly harmful to dogs if eaten, which is sad because I love macadamia nuts. But the specific chemicals found in macadamias are still unknown right now, but they are known to cause a toxic reaction to dogs if ingested. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, the chemical doesn't matter because it'll hurt my dog, and it's really important to be aware. Dogs will develop weakness and an inability to walk, especially in their hind legs. Vomiting, staggering gait, depression, tremors, and hypothermia are also likely to accompany. Next is garlic. So consider your dogs vampires and keep them away from raw garlic as much as possible. Like chocolate, the stronger the onion, the more toxic it can be. Since garlic is part of the onion family, it's even more dangerous to dogs than onions per ounce. Garlic contains compounds that are strong in toxicity, and while the effect of garlic consumption to red blood cells won't appear for a few days in dogs, they'll be tired and reluctant to move. The dog's urine will be orange to dark red in color, and like with onions, a blood transfusion might be required in severe cases. So basically, don't think that if your dog eats garlic and then it's fine, that it'll be fine, because it can take a few days. Next is one that a lot of people don't know, and it's one of the most fatal, and that would be grapes. And that includes raisins, which is pretty obvious, but some people don't make the association. And it's currently unknown what chemicals and compounds are in grapes that cause toxicity to dogs, but the results of consumption can be pretty devastating because they cause rapid kidney failure. While it varies between dogs, symptoms may not show up in them. Other than kidney failure, dogs can also develop vomiting or diarrhea as well as a lethargic state. They will also develop dehydration and lack of appetite, and death from kidney failure may occur within 3 to 4 days. So, going on the theme of fruit, we also have avocados, and the leaves, pits, bark, and fruit all contain a toxin called persin, which can have a toxic effect on dogs depending on the variety. It can cause an upset stomach, breathing difficulties, fluid buildup in the chest, but the most dangerous thing for them seems to be the pit, since it's slippery and can accidentally be swallowed, leading to obstruction of the gastrointestinal tract. One more fruit on this list is apple cores. And while most people try to avoid eating the core of an apple, it's actually much more toxic to dogs. Along with a few other fruits previously mentioned, you should definitely be careful not to leave apple cores lying around for dogs to get their paws on. The core of an apple, as well as plums, peaches, pears, and apricots, contain cyanogenic glycosides, which is also known as cyanide. Some of the symptoms that come from ingesting the toxin are dizziness, struggling to breathe, seizures, collapsing, hyperventilation, shock, and even coma. So that's very serious. Next, however, is yeast dough, which I had never heard of before doing this research. So, bread makes you fat, but while having a chubby puppy isn't the worst thing in the world, yeast dough used to make bread should absolutely be kept away from dogs. The raw yeast dough for making bread can ferment in a dog's stomach, becoming toxic. Aside from the toxicity from alcohol being produced in the stomach, yeast dough can also expand in your dog's stomach or intestines and create a large amount of gas in the digestive system. This can lead to severe pain and a potentially ruptured stomach or intestinal tract. Vomiting, abdominal discomfort, and lethargy can also occur. Next is caffeine. I don't know who would share coffee with a dog, but I guess I would, because I love coffee and I love my dog, and it would seem that the two should go together, but it's a deadly combination. Dogs only sleep and look out the window all day anyway, so they don't need coffee. In all seriousness, owners should never let their dogs near coffee or any form of caffeine, because it contains a stimulant known as methylated xanthine, and methylated xanthine stimulates the nervous system in dogs, causing vomiting, restlessness, heart palpitations, and even death. Finally, the end of this list is tragically bacon. What? Bacon? Say it isn't so. It's absolutely awful that we can't share one of the greatest foods out there with our canine buddies. We'll need to remember this the next time we want to feed our dogs some breakfast bacon under the table. Well, more bacon for us then. Sorry, Betty. Foods rich in fat like bacon can lead to the disease pancreatitis in dogs. Once a dog has developed pancreatitis, their pancreas becomes inflamed and stops functioning correctly. And this leads to all sorts of problems with digestion and nutrient absorption. And in conclusion, it should also be noted that the amount of damage these foods can do varies on the specific breeds and sizes of your dogs. Like humans, all dogs are different and can react differently to foods, though it's better to keep them away from these foods just for good measure.